We firmly believe that music enhances the listening experience. Unfortunately, we are unable to include music directly on YouTube. Therefore, we recommend that you listen to Smells Like Teen Spirit by Malia J on YouTube or your favorite streaming service before each episode. Fox News interview in July of 2023 with Hammett and Barnes. In light of the Bort fever mutations, we've witnessed a global shift towards embracing advanced technology at an unprecedented pace. Countries are investing heavily in remote work capabilities, and educational institutions are adapting to ensure continuity in learning. Media outlets have expanded their reach, with platforms like SoTube, now valued at over $900 billion, playing a crucial role in information dissemination. These entities are committed to paying their fair share of taxes, significantly boosting economies both within and outside the USA. Akbar Hassan, CEO of AEN Corp., Asia Minor Division, Regional President. Episode 4, Part 2 of A Whole Lot to Do About Nothing.
The rest of the day passed without much incident, but whenever Andrew ran into his friends, they couldn't help but express their excitement about logging in at 6 p.m. This would give them a solid 4 hours of gameplay before their parents insisted they log out for bedtime. As Andrew left school and arrived home, he bumped into his mother. She greeted him warmly, thanking him for taking out the trash earlier. She mentioned that she'd be busy today with activities for his younger sister and brother, and that dinner was already in the refrigerator. Before heading out, she added that his older brother, Taylor, would likely be in town on Sunday, visiting from college for the day. Andrew nodded at his mother's words, but the mention of Taylor's visit lingered in his mind. He and Taylor hadn't really gotten along for a while now. They used to be close, sharing interests and hanging out together until Taylor's junior year of high school. That's when things started to change. Taylor became increasingly self-centered, focusing only on his own achievements and distancing himself from Andrew and the rest of the family. Now, whenever Taylor was around, it seemed like everything had to revolve around him, his stories, and his accomplishments. Andrew often found it exhausting, as Taylor's egotistical demeanor overshadowed the brotherly bond they once shared. Despite this, Andrew knew he'd have to navigate the visit as best as he could, hoping for at least a peaceful day. As Andrew logged into the game, his character materialized exactly where he had left off the day before, feeling a bit disoriented. He quickly took in his surroundings, spotting the grand gate leading to the City of New Beginnings. It stood wide open, inviting him into the vast and bustling city beyond. The entrance was impressive, with its towering archways and the promise of adventure that lay within. The city was a sprawling landscape teeming with shops, houses, and countless NPCs going about their business. Rumor had it that the City of New Beginnings stretched over 7.5 miles, housing more than 18 distinct districts. Andrew knew there were thousands of quests to undertake within its walls, having saved a few intriguing ideas from watching SoTube videos. It was one thing to hear about completing quests from those who had done it before, but living the adventure firsthand was an entirely different experience. The exciting part about these quests was their ever-evolving nature, offering new challenges and stories each time. For a reason Andrew couldn't explain, one guard would not stop staring at him. As he walked toward the gate, he heard the guard say to another, "There's something different about that one, some sort of unseen power." As Andrew entered the city through the main gate, he was greeted by the sight of a magnificent fountain, as tall as a 4-story building with a shimmering pool at its base. His friends were already gathered there, waiting for him amidst the lively crowd. They exchanged high-fives and greetings, joining the throng of adventurers who used this spot as a meeting place before setting out on their journeys. The air was filled with the sounds of players calling out for teammates, with cries of "Healer, I need a healer," and "Tank, we need a tank," echoing around them. This was the hub where groups formed and strategies were planned. Daisuke walked up to Andrew and looked like a huge samurai mixed with an old-school knight. It was like something out of a cosplay, with a huge katana on his side and holding a naginata with both hands. He gave a nice fist bump. "You are 110% right, Daisuke. Your character design is litty-e," said Andrew. Daisuke gave him a wide smile and nod. Daisuke also motioned onto his settings bar and made a friend request to Andrew. "Cage Boxer would like to add you as a friend." Andrew happily accepted his request, and they both did an exaggerated handshake, with both of them holding onto each other and dropping backwards, only held by their hands and coming back up. Since my parents moved to the United States, I was able to port my character over on a special permit. I still have all my gear from Japan and all my good stats. Ended Daisuke. Daisuke slammed his fist together, and a little yellow electricity shot out, causing all the city guards to turn and look. One city guard, closest to the group, said, "Hey, watch it. You will scare away all the birds." Turning to his other friends, Andrew asked, "So where's the closest temple where I can drop off this flame and reconstitute the player?" "Follow me," said Kyle, a hint of excitement in his voice. "This might not be the closest temple, but it does have an amazing bar next to it where we can grab some food and discuss something I've been thinking about." Eager to embark on their quest, the group began weaving their way through the vibrant city, the buzz of activity all around them. They veered to the right, joining a quick-moving line of adventurers heading towards the nearest warp gate. The warp gate was an impressive structure, about the size of 3 cars, with a raised platform at its center. To use it, one had to step onto the platform, approach the podium in the middle, touch it, and state their desired destination within the city. Kyle led the way, and they all touched the podium in turn, saying, "Merchant Quarter." In an instant, a flash of blue light enveloped them, and they found themselves standing in the bustling merchant quarter, surrounded by the cacophony of hundreds of deals being struck simultaneously. The air was thick with the sounds of merchants haggling and the clinking of coins, a testament to the thriving trade in this part of the city. Kyle gestured for them to follow him as they navigated through the crowded streets towards the temple. As they approached, the grandeur of the temple became apparent. Rows of intricately carved stone columns lined the entrance, their design reminiscent of ancient Indian architecture. It was a breathtaking sight, and it was clear that the game's designers had poured immense effort and resources into crafting this virtual masterpiece. Inside the temple, the atmosphere was serene. Robed practitioners moved quietly, engaged in hushed conversations, while a gentle, calming music played in the background. The main hall was bustling with activity, yet it maintained a sense of tranquility. At the center stood a large urn, its flames flickering with a mesmerizing dance. Kyle turned to Andrew and said, "Go ahead, withdraw the flame from your inventory, and place it into the urn." Andrew nodded, accessing his inventory to retrieve the flame. As he held it in his hand, he approached the urn and carefully placed the flame inside. Instantly, the fire blazed with a renewed intensity, shifting from a yellowish red to a vibrant green for a few moments. To Andrew's surprise, a notification appeared on his screen, "Pop 150 experience." Alongside it, the name of the hero he had revived was displayed. "Mercurius has deposited Shattered Luck into the urn. Shattered Luck will be notified of their revival and can rejoin the game at their next login." The group shared a moment of triumph, knowing they had successfully completed this part of their quest. The experience points were a welcome bonus, but the real reward was the sense of accomplishment and camaraderie they felt. As they exited the temple, the conversation turned to their next steps. Kyle reminded them of the bar he had mentioned earlier, and they decided to head there to celebrate and discuss Kyle's intriguing idea. "Now we wait," said Kyle. "Usually the game will now send notification to the player, so he can log in," he finished. "Now follow me." He motioned them over, and he started walking. He found the bar and went in so quickly. No one had a chance to even read the sign. The bar was a charming hideaway tucked into a corner of the merchant quarter, its warm lighting and inviting atmosphere providing a welcome respite from the bustling streets outside. The group found a cozy table, and Kyle took the initiative to order food and drinks for everyone. They were eager to relax and reflect on their recent adventure. As they settled in, Kyle leaned forward, his expression a mix of seriousness and excitement. "Drinks all around, and Andrew, I picked this place because it has the best butter cake I've ever tasted," Kyle announced with a grin. Everyone cheered in agreement, their anticipation growing. When the food and drinks arrived, the group eagerly dug in, savoring the flavors. "So here's what I've been thinking," Kyle began, capturing everyone's attention. The group listened intently as he continued. "We need to all ramp up to at least level 25. This means for the next few weeks we need to focus on helping Merc. We should decide today the order in which we'll acquire the armor and have one person go alone to avoid drawing attention." The plan made sense, and everyone nodded in agreement. "Wow, this butter cake is amazing," Andrew exclaimed, causing everyone to burst into laughter. "What did I do?" Andrew asked, bewildered, as the laughter continued around him. "Before you head to the Guildmaster, let's do a quick hunt," Kyle suggested. "I know a place we can teleport to where we'll be relatively free from other players." Kai, Mike, and I went on a mission, and our reward was a reusable teleport scroll to the Mines of Krish. You can use it twice per day, once to enter and once to leave. We can bring anyone who's in our party for the day, and when one person leaves, it force teleports us all. It has some nice loot drops, and I think it's a great way to test out that sword of yours without an audience. The idea was met with enthusiasm, and as they finished their food, Kyle asked, "Okay guys, ready?" Kyle created a party request to which they all accepted. They all nodded, excitement building for their next adventure. Kyle retrieved the scroll from his inventory, and as he opened it, he spoke a language that Andrew could not comprehend. A weave of light enveloped them. In an instant, they found themselves standing in the dimly lit expanse of a dwarven mine, the air cool and filled with the echoes of distant mining. The Mines of Krish were a sprawling labyrinth of tunnels and caverns, their walls shimmering with ores of every conceivable color. The rich hues of silver, gold, and even rare gems glinted in the dim light, hinting at the wealth hidden within these ancient rocks. However, the beauty of the mine was marred by its dangerous inhabitants. The group quickly realized they were not alone. Dwarf zombies, remnants of miners long lost to the mine's dark magic, shuffled aimlessly through the corridors. Their groans echoed ominously, mingling with the high-pitched squeaks of bats that flitted through the shadows above. Large, menacing spiders skittered across the ground and walls, their eyes glinting with a predatory gleam as they watched the newcomers. As they cautiously moved deeper into the mine, Kyle pointed out a pickaxe lying abandoned on the ground. "Andrew, you can get a free pickaxe by analyzing that one," Kyle suggested. "It's part of the quest, the Lost Miner's Treasure. You can use it to mine some of these ores while we're here. It's a great way to gather resources and maybe even find something rare." Andrew nodded, intrigued by the prospect of mining the shimmering walls around them. Kyle continued, "We got this teleport scroll from completing the quest Echoes of the Forgotten Forge. It was a tough mission, but the reward was worth it. This place is full of opportunities if you know where to look." With their weapons ready and a plan in mind, the group prepared to face the challenges of the mine. They knew that teamwork and strategy would be key to navigating the dangers and uncovering the secrets hidden within the Mines of Krish. As they ventured further into the depths, the promise of adventure and treasure spurred them on, each step bringing them closer to the unknown challenges that awaited. "All right, team," said Kyle. "Here's the plan. We mine while some of us stand guard, but only when we come across a cache of significant value. We're looking for platinum, steel, different types of ores, and other valuable minerals that we can sell or use to craft some cool stuff." Tommy chimed in. Yeah, there's mithril, and even the super rare orichalcum, but most of the time it's just gold, silver, or copper, which we can sell to the city for coins. One time we found a gold nugget worth 500 coins. That was pretty cool, added Sarah, as Merc analyzed the pickaxe. It was called Dorvan's pickaxe. Each of them pulled a torch from their inventory, and Kyle motioned for Andrew to analyze the burnt-out torch on the wall. As Andrew did so, the torch lit up, and he was able to pick it up. You can put that in your inventory when you're done, Kai advised, but we need it to explore. Some creatures don't like the light, and it keeps them at bay. However, Dwarven zombies couldn't care less. They'll attack you at a moment's notice. They're pretty strong with their pickaxes. I think one hit is worth 50 damage points, which is crazy because the pickaxe alone only does about 17 damage if I hit you with it. These zombies are super powerful. Kai then touched his fingers together, looking intrigued. Is it possible to see the sword and armor now? He asked. At this point, Merc was only wearing his base clothes. He quickly opened his inventory and equipped his armor and sword. The armor glowed with a hue of blue, casting a soft light in the dark mine. It looked like silver armor, completely encased in a low-level blue glow. Wow, everyone said in unison, admiring both the armor and the sword. The sword was a short sword with 3 levels on the hilt, each adorned with a red ruby in its slot, adding to its striking appearance. Merc, have you analyzed your sword yet? Someone asked. Daisuke commented, Can I see the mythic sword? Andrew pulled the sword closer so Daisuke could look it up and down. Andrew also couldn't remember everything he first read, so he decided to do it again, now. Analyzing his sword, it revealed its name, Obtuse. The sword could morph between a short sword and a long sword, with the short sword requiring 1 hand and the long sword requiring 2 hands. It also showed 3 special enhancements, which currently had question marks next to them, indicating they hadn't been unlocked yet. The first enhancement would unlock at rank 10 as a prerequisite. Andrew spoke up, My sword can morph between 1 hand and 2. They all looked puzzled, but they couldn't help but admire the sword's craftsmanship and the gleaming rubies. Kyle commented with a chuckle, Can you believe this guy? He walked away, a little frustrated, but also joking. Kyle and Mike looked at Andrew and chuckled. Beginner's luck, they said, amused by Andrew's good fortune and the impressive gear he now wielded. As the group ventured deeper into the mine, Kai turned to Andrew and said, Now's your chance to let loose. It's relatively quiet in here. Sure, there are a few groups around, but we can stick together. Remember, Kyle has an awesome shield for you that ranks up as you do when you hit level 10. Andrew was happy he selected his lunar armor from his inventory. Everyone also admired it. Jessica commented that the glow under the subtle light looked amazing. Sarah commented how good that armor would look on her night build. Mike commented how ugly the armor would look on him, to which everyone chuckled. As they walked into the mine, they encountered a player group that was just leaving. They exchanged waves with the departing players. The Crimson Guard was known for its strict clan requirement. All members had to be human. Those are the Crimson Guard, Sarah noted. They're a mixed bag. Half the time they're waving and smiling, and the other half they're either screaming at you or trying to threaten you. They're bad news. Their leader is kind of a hothead. What's his name again? Jokingly, is it Jeremy or Tommy? Kyle chimed in. No, not Tommy. It's something like Jasmine. Jessica laughed and corrected him. I believe his name is Crimson. They all chuckled. Yes, Crimson, Tommy agreed. He is a hothead. But his 2 main lieutenants are pretty cool. They're usually on the leaderboard. Just smile, nod, and wave, and move on when you see any of them, though. Unless you are at a bar, said Kai. They are cool at that point. As they walked further into the mine, they noticed they hadn't encountered anyone else, suggesting that the previous group had cleared out many of the threats. However, something caught Andrew's eye. As the Crimson Guard was leaving, One of their members eyed him intently. It was likely that they noticed the distinctiveness of his armor, which set him apart from everyone else. After about half an hour of walking through the dimly lit tunnels, the group finally stumbled upon a deposit large enough to start mining. The walls of the cavern shimmered with the promise of valuable ores. Each member of the group took out their pickaxe and began chipping away at the deposit. Andrew noticed he kept getting notifications of +5 ore with each swing, but it all appeared to be iron. Tommy, while mining, commented to Andrew, "You get a whole lot of XP when you mine." As they continued to work, the rhythmic clinking of their pickaxes was accompanied by a distant thudding sound. The thuds grew louder and more ominous with each passing minute. Within 10 minutes of mining, an iron golem emerged from the shadows, its body covered in jagged, unprocessed ore. It was accompanied by 4 groaning dwarf zombies. Kai quickly switched to his mage form and unleashed a barrage of fireballs at the zombies. Within seconds, the dwarves were reduced to ashes, but the iron golem continued its relentless march. "Crap, a golem," Kyle muttered. "Those guys are tough." Jessica, unfazed, rummaged through her inventory and pulled out an arrow of paralysis. She shot it at the golem, which continued to move, but at a much slower pace. "While it's not completely paralyzed, it does drastically reduce its movement," she commented. Without missing a beat, Andrew charged forward, delivering blow after blow to the golem. At each swing, the golem tried to make at Andrew. It only found air as Andrew worked, dodging in and around the golem, striking it at critical points. He focused on severing its limbs, working tirelessly until the golem collapsed, missing its legs and arms. Exhausted but determined, Merc activated his finishing move. Holding his sword aloft, it began to glow instinctively. He plunged it into the golem, destroying it completely. A notification popped up, informing him that he had gained experience and reached level 5. The group cheered, teasing Merc about how long it took him to defeat the golem. Daisuke laughed a little. "You looked like you were fighting Frankenstein." Kyle reassured him, "The stronger you get, the less time it'll take to fight these things. That's the purpose of this raid, to bulk up on resources and get XP. Let Merc get the kills," he instructed the group. "We need to ramp him up quickly." Kai apologized. "Sorry, force of habit. I got hit in the head by one of these golems before, and I've had a grudge ever since." As they finished mining the deposit, each member was surprised to find they had collected at least 1,000 iron and 5,000 XP. Tommy suggested they hold on to it for now and give it to him later to create iron ingots for selling or storing in their team chest. "Iron is foundational for a lot of things," he explained, and they all nodded in agreement. As they ventured further into the mine, Andrew mentioned that he thought someone had noticed his armor. Kyle paused, considering the situation. "For how nice they were, I don't think they're going to come back and attack us. But if they do, I have this map, and I can teleport us out. Unlike them, we don't need to walk all the way out. I can teleport us at any moment." Mike nodded, adding, "We also have the quest item, so we can teleport too." Continuing their journey, they encountered more zombies, bats, spiders, and other night creatures. Andrew fought valiantly, striking them down and activating his secret move. He noticed that his sword's damage, which usually stood at 28, could spike to 150 with a lucky strike. The dwarves, although powerful, were slow, allowing Andrew to dispatch them with relative ease. As they delved deeper, they mined deposits of iron, gold, and silver. When they finally reached a copper deposit, they mined it for nearly an hour before Tommy stopped them. "We don't need this much copper," he said. "It's only good for spending on inns and food." Crossing a bridge over a flowing river, they spotted a giant iron golem and what appeared to be mechanical creatures on the other side. Kyle hesitated, unsure if they could defeat these higher-level adversaries. Just then, they were surprised to see about 15 players approaching from the rear, one of whom pointed at Andrew and exclaimed, "See, that's the armor I was telling you about. I've never seen anything that cool." Andrew felt the tension in the air thickening as the leader's words hung ominously between them. He knew that one wrong move could escalate the situation beyond control. Taking a deep breath, he maintained his calm demeanor and addressed the leader directly. "I understand your curiosity," he said, choosing his words carefully. "But there's really no need for hostility. We're all here to enjoy the game, right? This armor is available to anyone who visits the shop. If you want, I can even show you the way." He hoped his offer would diffuse the aggression, but the wary glances exchanged among the opposing players suggested otherwise. The leader of the group narrowed his eyes, clearly unconvinced by Andrew's explanation. "Why should we believe you?" he demanded, his voice dripping with suspicion. "For all we know, you could be lying to keep the advantage to yourself." The players behind him murmured in agreement, their skepticism palpable. Andrew could see that they were itching for a fight, their hands hovering near their weapons, ready to draw at a moment's notice. He knew he had to act fast to prevent a full-blown confrontation. Kyle, sensing the rising tension, stepped forward again, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Look, we're not looking to start anything here," he said, his voice steady. "We're just a group of friends trying to enjoy the game like everyone else. If you want to check out the shop for yourselves, you're more than welcome to. We can even team up for a quest later if you're interested." His attempt at camaraderie was met with a few skeptical looks, but he hoped it would at least give the other group pause. The leader seemed to consider Kyle's words for a moment, his gaze flickering between Andrew and the rest of his group. "Fine," he said finally, though his tone was still laced with distrust. "We'll check it out ourselves. But if we find out you're lying, there will be consequences." The threat hung in the air, a reminder of the precarious balance they were trying to maintain. Andrew nodded, relieved that they had at least managed to avoid an immediate conflict, but aware that the situation was far from resolved. As the opposing group began to back away, Andrew let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. He turned to Kyle, gratitude evident in his eyes. "Thanks for stepping in," he said quietly. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't." Kyle shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. "We're a team, right? We've got each other's backs." The words were simple, but they carried a weight that reassured Andrew, reminding him of the strength they found in unity. Just as Andrew and his friends were beginning to relax, their relief was shattered by the sound of footsteps approaching rapidly from behind. The group turned to see the same players returning, their expressions now twisted with anger and determination. The leader, his voice more menacing than before, barked, "Shut up! We've checked, and there's no such armor in the shop. We're level 42 now, and we won't ask again. Take off the armor, or we'll kill you and take it ourselves." Andrew felt a chill run down his spine as the threat hung in the air, more real and immediate than before. The opposing group had clearly leveled up, and their newfound power only fueled their aggression. Andrew exchanged a glance with Kyle, who nodded subtly, indicating they needed to stand their ground. "We don't want any trouble," Andrew said, trying to keep his voice steady despite the fear creeping in. "But we're not going to just hand over our gear because of your threats." The leader's eyes narrowed, his patience clearly wearing thin. "You think you can stand against us? You're outnumbered and outleveled. This is your last chance." The players behind him began to fan out, forming a semicircle around Andrew and his friends, their intentions clear. Andrew knew they were in a precarious situation, but he also knew that giving in would only embolden their aggressors. As the tension reached a boiling point, Andrew and his friends prepared to defend themselves, knowing that this confrontation would test their skills and their resolve like never before. Without hesitation, Mike pulled out the map from his inventory and teleported everyone back to the inn where they previously were. This caused a little commotion, as another party was currently sitting at the table. "Sorry, everyone," said Kai, motioning to the bartender. "Drinks on me for everyone." The group cheered and resumed their activities, Kai explained, while apologizing profusely. Kyle exclaimed, "Why did you do that? We could have handled it." But Mike replied, "I don't believe handling it means dying." "Maybe we're thinking of two different things," he said with a little bit of sarcasm. Andrew quickly stowed his armor in his inventory, visibly upset. "So this game is going to be like that," he mused. Kyle nodded. "Sometimes it is." Frustrated, Andrew slammed his fist on the table, startling the other group again, to which Kai came running to again problem solve. "This is bullshit," he said. "That clan member saw me for 2 seconds and already called in support to take my armor." Kyle sympathized. "Anywhere in town is a safe zone, but this is why it's so hard to rank up. When I was in beta, everyone was enthusiastic about the game, but now I see newbies getting annihilated when they get something good by clans that throw their weight around." Andrew, needing a moment to cool off, said, "I need a minute. I'll see you guys tomorrow," and walked out of the bar. Kyle followed him, but Andrew insisted, "Listen, Kyle, I just need a minute. I can't believe people are so petty." Kyle advised, "Whatever you do, walk around the city, but don't leave. I don't want to see your avatar get hurt." Andrew nodded. "I think I'll go to the guild hall." Kyle replied, "Take care, man. We're here for you. We really are." "Before you go, we were going to give you this first," said Kyle, handing a rustic key to Andrew. "Your room has a note on the door with your name on it. I put a knife in your door to hold the note. Looks pretty cool," ended Andrew. When Andrew held the key, a new location appeared on his map called Players Lounge, with a smile logo, and with that, Andrew walked away from the group for tonight, thinking he should have been much more appreciative for what was just given him. The group decided to stay and found an open spot to sit around a table, the atmosphere tense, despite the jovial chatter of other patrons in the inn. Kyle, still slightly shaken from the encounter, took a deep breath and tried to relax. "We need a plan," he said, looking at each of his friends in turn. "We can't keep running every time we face a stronger group. We need to find a way to level up quickly or get better gear that won't attract so much attention." Kai leaned back in his chair, considering Kyle's words. "Maybe we should join a guild ourselves," he suggested. "Having more allies could help us in situations like this. Plus, we'd have access to guild resources and quests that could help us level up faster." Mike nodded in agreement. "It's worth considering. But we need to find a guild that aligns with our goals and playstyle, not just any group that will take us." Kai, still visibly frustrated, chimed in. "I just hate the idea of having to rely on others. I want to be able to stand on my own, you know? But I guess in this game, strength in numbers really does matter." Kyle placed a reassuring hand on Kai's shoulder. "I get it, man. But sometimes the best way to get stronger is to learn from others. We can still be independent, but having a network could be beneficial." As they discussed their options, the bartender approached with a tray of drinks, courtesy of Kai's earlier promise. "Here you go, lads," he said with a friendly smile. "On the house, thanks to your generous friend here." The group raised their mugs in a toast, grateful for the brief respite and the chance to regroup. "To new adventures," Kai declared, trying to lift everyone's spirits, "and to finding our path in this crazy game." The conversation gradually shifted to lighter topics, and the tension began to ease. They shared stories of past quests and laughed about their misadventures. But beneath the surface, each of them was formulating a plan, determined to become stronger and more capable. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but with their combined skills and determination, they were ready to face whatever challenges the game threw their way.
Stay tuned for next week's episode 5, Adventure Guild Reprimand.